Hello and welcome to the David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney, and you have found the place where we talk about estate planning, elder law, real estate, and business law, as well as anything else you want to talk about. If you give us a call at 774, this area code 616 774 2424. That's area code 616 774 2424. And we'll get your question, comment, or concern on the air. Now, we especially like estate planning, which would be wills, trusts, probate, all that kind of stuff, all that estate planning. You know, your estate is the leftovers when you're dead. And so, of course, we want to make sure that when you're dead, somebody's going to get your leftovers. I mean, people wanted to do that for a long time. So, okay, so that's what estate planning is about. Elder law, that's the next one. Elder law, it's a bad name. I don't defend the name because it's not just for the elderly anymore. But elder law is the part where we figure out how to hang on to your stuff while you're still on this side of the Great Divide. Remember, it says that, there was the one guy, Lazarus, in Abraham's bosom, I think, and there was a gulf fixed between him and the rich guy. Remember that? Right? The impenetrable gulf, that unbridgeable gap, whatever it is. Anyway, we're not even there, right? So we're on this side of the Great Divide. Anyway, on this side, hanging on to your stuff is not a bad idea. Hanging on to your stuff is probably a good idea. It's what we work our lives for, isn't it? To make sure that things are secure, that things are well in hand, without being without having hubris about it, without being full of sinful pride about it. You do try to work and save and do the good things. Nothing the matter with that, from what I can tell. And so on this side of that impenetrable or unbridgeable void, here we are. Vast gulf, I think is what they call it, as I recall. Anyway, we're here. And, owning your home's not a bad idea. Making sure that your loved ones are cared for is not a bad idea. Making sure that you're responsibly cared for it. Not a bad idea. At least I don't think it's a bad idea. And that's what that elder law stuff is all about. How do we make sure that you don't go broke when you need long-term care? I just read reading an article, somebody saying that women are not choosing, the labor force participation rate of women is down to 1988 levels. And the point of this article was, isn't it a shame that more women aren't choosing to work for wages? Isn't that a shame? It's like, I don't know. I mean, maybe it's a shame, or maybe women figured something out over this pandemic that going to work every day and doing all those things is not quite the thing. If you have a choice, right? Because it's not people without choices that people without choices going to go to work. Right, so we're all worried. The article I was reading anyway in Fortune magazine, all worried about, this is a horrible, terrible thing. Why is it so horrible and terrible if people make life-affirming choices? How the hell is that? I don't get it. How's that a bad idea? And one of the things that has consequences, obviously that has consequences, but I wonder if there's any connection between that and the fact that have lost in the last couple of years, hundreds of thousands, mostly women. Let's admit it, it's mostly women who are nurses. It's not all women. And yay for the guys who are nurses. My dad has his favorite nurse is down in Florida. There is a guy, as a male, Christian, very good guy, very good nurse. So it's not all women, but let's face it, most of the nurses are women. And so when you say that, I've seen the statistics, it's like 600,000 or 700,000 have left the profession, right? And it's not retire. These are non-retirement things. They've left the profession. It's like, what? This is why long-term care costs are like spiraling through the roof. This is why medical costs in the future, thanks to this pandemic, and it's not really thanks to the pandemic. It's really more thanks to the response to the pandemic. I think, what did we do to what do we do in response to the virus? Which exists. Nobody's saying it doesn't exist. It exists. Okay. It's not a hoax. I believe in the virus. I even had the virus. Um, but the question is, how do we take care of ourselves? How do we, how do we do that? And you put together a couple of facts like, okay, well, if 300,000 women, fewer women are now in the labor force, and hundreds of thousands of women, nurses alone, have decided not to be nurses anymore. Okay, well, what's going on here? Well, I'll tell you one thing that's going on here is when you lower the supply of anything, the price for it goes up, and so the nurses' compensation is skyrocketing. The cost of having a visiting nurse or a private duty nurse right through the roof, absolutely through the roof. And a consequence of that is you get people, and experience this personally, again with my dad, right now, finding people who to spend the night, and their family members there. One of the kids is always there, but can't sleep, can't stay awake all night. So the idea is you'd hire somebody to do that. They bring blankets, they bring pillows, they go right to sleep. Unbelievable. And the company's like, oh, they're not supposed to do that. Well, one of them came with a suitcase full of little nesting items. It's like, it's probably not the first time they did it. They had a system. So that's what we're confronting. We're confronting a situation where the long-term care is less available, more expensive than ever. Elder law is all about, how do I take those fruits of my labor, what you built up over your lifetime? How do we do that and hang on to them so that we can get the weekend coverage, so that we can get extra coverage, so that we can insist on not taking just whoever shows up, but, getting the best care. Wouldn't that be a good thing? Right? That's what elder law is all about. How do we hang on to your stuff? We also deal with real estate and business law. So if you're looking at buying or selling a house, right, not a bad time. We got more and more people doing the for sale by owner thing, which can be very beneficial for you. It can also be a disaster of the first degree because, the realtor fee, the commission that they charge, boy, it's worth it, right, if there are no buyers. But guess what? There's lots of buyers. Oh, so what do I need a realtor for? Well, maybe you need a realtor to make sure all the paperwork got done correctly. You say, oh, no. I saw the YouTube video. I know how all this works. Well, maybe. Okay, fine. Or maybe, we can help. Maybe a attorney who's been down the road before can suggest, look, this is where the pitfalls are when we're talking about selling your house by yourself. And in fact, in my experience, it's more than simply the legal stuff, the legal technical stuff. You got to get that right. As with everything we talk about, you have to get the legal technical stuff correct. That's the foundation of everything. Okay, if you don't get that right, the rest of it's nonsense. But we're dealing with human beings. And when you're dealing with human beings, right, you can't forget that. You can't go legal technical first. You have to figure out, well, what is the relationship like? What's going on here? Well, if you want someone to buy your house, right, it's not simply the fact that people are just throwing money at everybody willing to sell. There's a way to do that. There's a way to get the highest price. There's a way to use human psychology. That's what it is, in order to get the best result. So it's not just the legal technical. Legal technical, yeah, you got to get that right. But after 32 years, I don't know how many thousand home sale transactions I've been through, but you learn a few lessons. And if you haven't, shame on you, in order to do the best. Then the same with business law. We also deal with business law here. So give us a call if you're looking to start a business. Apparently, a lot of the women who supposedly have left the labor force are now setting up businesses. Great. Isn't that great? Now you can do something, presumably, hopefully, that more closely matches what you want to do on your own terms. Well, there's ways to do this. There's ways to do it legally, technically. If you get that right, then the rest follows. Okay? I mean, there's a million ways to screw up a business. A million, gajillion, billion. Lots of ways to mess it up. Just a few ways to get it right. If you want to know how to get it right, give us a call, 616 774-2424. And we'll get your question, comment, or concern on the air. Oh, by the way, I just heard that Canada was complaining that that apparently there's some Americans sending money to those truckers. Like that's a bad thing. I seem to remember there being a war around here once upon a time. And there were a lot of guys who didn't want to go, selective service and all that. Who was it? Where did they go? Someplace up north. You want to talk about interference with somebody else's politics or whatever. It's like, do you guys remember that? It was a long time ago, long time ago. Back in the 60s, I think. Anyway, you've been listening to the David Carrier Show. I'm David Carrier, your family's personal attorney.